Welcome to International Securities Exchange's podcast series. Facilitated by renowned educators, ISE podcasts are intended to teach beginning as well as seasoned investors the ins and outs of trading.
You were talking about $1.40 and $1.35 as first levels for the euro dollar. I think I did quick math and came up with 71 on EUI and 74, just so that everyone knows that if you're looking, for Kathy's forecast to come true, that, maybe if they go to 140 euro dollar, that would equate to about 71 on EUI, or 74 if Kathy's right and the euro actually sinks down to $1.35. Remember that the ISE product is dollar relative, so the U.S. dollar is the base currency. Let's see, I saw a couple interesting questions. So, Kathy, you're pretty, I hate to say you're certain, but you think that the ECB will cut 50 basis points in the next 6 months or so?
Well, I think that the ECB is going to cut 25 basis points within the next 6 months. The market is pricing in basically 40 basis points of easing over the next 12 months. So we can't really get 40 basis points, and that's why I say it's 25 to 50, because those change as data changes. Gotcha.
It's ironic because the last, like you said, the last change was an increase, and now they're going to reverse direction.
Right. And that's the expectation of a reverse in direction is exactly what's driving the euro dollar lower.
So Frederick wants to know, when will the U.S. dollar rally end? What can we be looking for, all the attendees? What would be some signs that it's really overextended? In fact, maybe they could play the other way.
Keep an eye on oil for sure. Because when oil, as I've shown you multiple charts of the correlation between, oil and stocks and, currencies, that is the number one driver right now. When oil stabilizes, that's when the dollar will stabilize.
Oh, good point. That's a very good point. Another question, would you say that the peak oil theory is not actually influencing our oil supply as to contribute to drive the price of oil higher than we have at the moment? And what about the Pickens? He seems to be getting a lot of press, all the alternative fuel sources that he would like to implement in the U.S. Do you think that has any play on what's going on in oil?
It really should. And I think that, that's going to certainly play a role to some degree. But like I said, it's more... Right now, it's really more based upon tactical and not secular change in positioning.
You made the point. I actually listened to his interview today, and he said you said the same thing that he said, that drilling, offshore drilling. Forget about the environmental; that's a whole other issue. But drilling would help. But he said, remember, the U.S. I think he said we use 12 million barrels a day. And Saudi Arabia only produces 9 million barrels a day. So he goes, you figure it out yourself. We're not going to be able to produce that kind of oil. So we're going to need a lot of different changes to help take us off this huge oil, dependence. Let's see if we can get a couple questions. Anybody else? How does gold relate? And do you look at gold at all, Kathy, or you just really look at oil?
I actually do look at gold. I look at gold to tell me whether or not the market's move is really a reflection of risk aversion or not, because it has how strong that is. Because in an environment where we have traders are really nervous, usually you see stocks fall and you see gold prices rise. And that's how I watch those levels.
Thank you. Kathy, where can the attendees find the interest rate expectations? I actually, when you were talking about that, I actually threw it into the chat box that, I'd wanted everyone to know that the interest rate expectations gets priced into the options each and every day. How can the attendees actually find these interest rate expectations?
Well, if you take a look at that daily report that, let me send you the link for the specific report that I put out yesterday. I actually put out the interest rate expectations for the Federal Reserve every single day. I may expand that later on to include the other central banks too. But right now, I do publish the one for the Federal Reserve.
You. Okay, let's see if we can take a couple more. Question is there any correlation between oil and stock? I think you went through this, that there definitely seems like a correlation between oil and, let's say, the SPY, the U.S. stock market.
There is certainly a correlation. I didn't show it. I showed the correlation between euro-dollar and oil and then stocks and dollar-yen, but, they are correlated too.
Rama wants to know if you think the long U.S. dollar and short oil is a good trade right now, or are we too far? Is it too far overextended?
I think that you still have a little bit of juice in there, but it's not going to be easy because my targets originally was 140 in the euro dollar when it was trading at 145, and then also 100 in oil prices when it was trading at 120. So we're getting in euro dollar we pretty much touched that level earlier today, and then also in oil we're within a whisker of that level. So I think that those levels will be tested once again, but you're not going to you got to be really nimble with your profits.
Good point. That's the way an option trader should be, being nimble. Taking into account the interest rate differential dynamics as well as the growth dynamics, what's the best currency pair as a carry trade for the short term? I guess if we think the market's going to stabilize. And one thing I want to say, Kathy, I heard you speak maybe in Vegas, and you were the first one, at least that I've listened to a lot of people speaking about the FX market, because I'm trying to learn as much as I can. You actually said that the Asian currencies would do really well this year, and that's exactly what's happened. So great call on your part.
Thank you. I guess this is the whole premise of my presentation, which is that I'm telling you, try not to trade carry. And, as much as I try to tell people this, they will insist on doing it, and they will try to find out the best way to do it because they've been so conditioned to do it over the past few years. I mean, if you were really trying to look for a safe play, maybe Swiss yen, but really you should be looking out for opportunities to sell carry rather than buy carry, and that, I'm sure, will give you much easier returns than trying to struggle against the trend right now. And, if you mentioned, Steve, about Vegas, I'm going to be in Vegas this weekend when they have the Forex Trading Expo. So for those of you who are there, please come to my presentation, stop by the GFT booth. I would be, more than happy to talk to you guys.
Yes, and Kathy, we'll see each other there because I'll be there also. We have a booth, so please stop by the ISE booth if you're going to be in Vegas to learn more about options. As options give you a great way to implement your view with limited risk. Let's see if we can find one or two more questions, and then let's see. I see a question here. Wayne, so dollar-yen will go down based on a 25 interest rate change in Japan. What do you think? And I don't know, is that really going to happen? I'm not really sure. Bank of Japan isn't going to be increasing interest rates, are they, Kathy?
Not at all. I mean, they're not going to be doing anything for the next 6 or 7 months. Dollar-yen will go down because of that dollar-yen stock chart I showed you earlier. If you think that stock's going down and you think that you agree with me that there's more trouble in the U.S. economy, then that will be what drives dollar-yen down, not a rate cut, not a rate hike from the BOJ.
Gotcha. Kathy, I just want to say thank you. I think you did an awesome job. Every time you come on, I learn something. I want everyone to just at least definitely click on Kathy's link. That way you can learn as much as you can, as Kathy offers many different ways to learn the FX market. Yes, and I'm getting some, you're seeing them also, Kathy. Fabulous, great job. It was definitely very, very informative. Kathy, thanks so much.
Thank you.
On behalf of the International Securities Exchange, this is Steve Meisinger. I just want to thank you personally. Thanks so much.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing you in Vegas. Please, anybody, if you guys are going to be in Vegas, please stop by and see Kathy's presentation, because obviously she only had 45 minutes here. A live presentation is even better. So if you can see her live, please do it. And Kathy, I want to thank you again.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. To find more podcasts on options, stocks, alternative markets, and market data, please visit www.ise.com/podcast.